That's what we have. What we have here, if we want to analyze it, we will analyze it in Daniel's day and in the end time. What we have here in end times, if this is happening today, what we have here is basically the heart of Islam attacking the heart of Europe. What is Greece? Greece is the origin of the European community. Later on, Rome will take Greece, but the whole culture of Plato, Aristotle, philosophy started in Greece. Greece is the ancient, the oldest European civilization that I understand. So what we have here is a war between Europe and the heart of the Middle East. And I think that is very interesting because the heart of Islam. Because Islam there is an old history about Islam trying to conquer Europe. Islam always tried to enter in Europe. It was stopped at the gates of Vienna, of Austria. And Islam always tried to enter in Europe through Spain. You know that Spain was part of Islam. The Arabs always went through the south, through Morocco, and conquered Spain. They actually conquered Spain in the 700s. And until the 1100s, Spain was Muslim territory, and the Muslims always promised that they will come back into Spain. So Gibraltar is the border between Christianity, sort of speaking, Christianity, and Islam. So Islam always tried to enter in Europe, and remember the terrorist attack to the trains in Spain. Remember in England. And remember all those countries here, former Yugoslavia, which is Bosnia, Sarajevo. It was always the Muslims trying to enter in Europe and the Christians trying to stop them from entering in Europe. There is a tremendous delicate line here between Islam coming in and Christianity pushing them down. You know that there is a tremendous hate between the government of Greece and the people of Greece and the people of Turkey. Turkey is a Muslim government. Greece is a Christian Orthodox country. Right? The Greek Orthodox Church. And there was a genocide. They hate each other tremendously, the Greeks and the Turks. Turkey wants to become part of the European community. I don't think it has been accepted yet. No. Turkey wants to be part of the European community. And Greece is going to do whatever they can not to let Turkey come in, the European community. So there is tremendous tension. And what Daniel is seeing now is a war between the heart of Islam, Iran, and Greece. So it's a very interesting vision that he has. Now remember, during the days of Nebuchadnezzar, we were under Persia. Chapter 6, Darius took over and we were under Babylon. And then we were under Persia. And now Greece comes in the scene. Listen, Greece is going to be very, very important. This horn, I believe, is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great.
He's fighting against Xerxes.
It's a tremendous vision, and this is what is important, I think. It is for the past, it's for Daniel's day, but I have a feeling it's for the future also, it's for the end time. So eventually Europe has been taking the attacks of Islam. They are not retaliating, they are not responding. If Spain was attacked with the trains, England was attacked. There's an old history of Muslims. Listen, you know about this. Austria prides to be the beautiful Vienna. Innsbruck and Salzburg is full of Muslim people. There are so many Muslims in Innsbruck and Salzburg. Salzburg are on the east and Vienna is on the west. There are so many. I took a train from Budapest to Vienna, stop in Innsbruck. It's incredible how many Muslims are there. Muslims always try to enter. Why there is coffee in Vienna? The coffee is not from Vienna. Vienna is a cold weather country. It's from the Turkish influence. And there are so many. When you're there, you sense that all the Muslims from Turkey trying to enter into Europe. Vienna is Catholic. Germany is half Protestant, half Catholic. They were never able to come into Vienna. This was all controlled because of the Soviet Union. But now that the Soviet Union has been dismantled, now you have Yugoslavia. Now in Yugoslavia you begin to see the Christian and the Muslim. Now you begin to see in Hungary, in Vienna, and the rest of Europe. So there's a tremendous tension between Islam from the Middle East, from Iran and from Turkey, and Europe. And that's what we have here. This is the first time that we have Europe being mentioned here in the Bible, with Greece. Later on it's going to be Rome, and then we have the European territory that we see today. Spain was part of the kingdom of Islam. Spain and southern France come of the kingdom of Islam. Islam took Spain, and then with Charlemagne, Spain was reconquered by Christians. But they always promised that they will come back to Toledo and to Spain. And the same with Jerusalem. Jerusalem was part of the kingdom of Islam for many years. You know, when Jerusalem ended, Palestine ended to be part of Islam in First World War. In First World War, England entered in war with Egypt, and England took General Allenby, entered in Jerusalem right before Christmas 1917, and he gave it to the British Crown. It's very interesting. He entered walking.
He came through Beersheba.
He entered, but in Jerusalem he entered walking as a pilgrim.
Yes, as a pilgrim.
He got off his horse. You know what was First World War? It was the last crusade. The crusades were centuries, or let's take the Muslims out of Jerusalem. All the crusades failed. We couldn't take the Muslims out of Jerusalem. Finally, in First World War, the Muslims got out of Jerusalem. And start the British mandate will end with the partition of Palestine and the birth of the Jewish state. Let me say one thing. First World War marked the end of Muslims in Jerusalem, the beginning of a British Christian mandate. Second World War marked the end of the British mandate and the birth of the Jewish state. The two world wars marked this, before and after. I know, really, I don't know that. The story, the conquest of Allenby, the British conquest of Jerusalem in First World War was bloodless. They just entered in Jerusalem and took Jerusalem. It was a crusade. It was like the Christians, onward Christian soldiers from the West, finally enter and took there's a lot here, but yeah.
On the Crusades, because many people don't know, the first crusade reached all their objectives. They actually were able to go on First Crusade right into Jerusalem and capture it. It's the subsequent crusades you wonder what was the need for them and why was it necessary for the others to come. But maybe they didn't hold it, and maybe the Arabs came back. But the first one was totally successful.
But they never got the Muslims.
On the first one they captured.
But then they came back. Yeah, they captured Jerusalem. Yeah, they captured Jerusalem for a few weeks, and then the Muslims retaliated and they took it back. It was never. What are the Crusades? The Crusades are evangelism of Christianity in Europe through the centuries, and the Christians in Europe says Jesus is not coming back to a Muslim Jerusalem. Let's go to Jerusalem and take the Muslims out, and that was the Crusades were. But they enter and then they retaliate and it was going back and forth. Really, the end of the Muslim tenure of Jerusalem was Allenby's First World War. But let's go into this. Let's advance a little. Where did we stop? What verse? Verse 9 now. Verse 8.
He magnified himself exceedingly, and when he was young and strong, the great horn was suddenly broken, and instead of him there came up.
Can I ask you something? Go back to verse 7. So we.
In my vision, I saw him come close to the ram, and he was moved with anger against him, and
The goat and the ram, they fight.
he struck the ram and broke his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But the goat threw him to the ground and trampled on him, and there was no one who could rescue the ram from his power.
So there is a war between the ram and the horn and the goat, and the goat is stronger. I mean, it's a war between Iran and Europe and Europe defeats it. Listen, if there is a war between Europe and Islam, Europe is tremendously advanced. Islam is very primitive. Islam is very aggressive, but European countries are the most developed countries in the world, with the United States, Europe. They will destroy completely Islam.